Hello there, and for the last of the August sets that I've purchased so far, we have Darth Vader's Mech. Now, the reason I've waited the longest to open this box is because I think this will be one of the more popular sets of the August wave. Perhaps even the Boba Mech will be alongside it, but I do think loads of people will be picking this up, mainly for that Vader figure. Let's waste no time in opening it. This is the first time that's happened, but if you could see, the bag was right where the thumb tab was, which made it really difficult opening the box. And I don't know why that's never happened. I feel like next time I should perhaps tip the box upside down and give it a little wiggle just to make sure that thumb tab is free to be open. And first of all out of the box is this cool new looking element, which of course is Vader's lightsaber. And again, bottom corner of the screen, I'm using the PDF instructions. This is what I see on screen, and these are not needed. And much like the other two mechs, we have three bags. 1, 2, 3 very noisy bags. And I can assume the first bag will be the minifigure and torso, the second bag the legs, and the third the arms and any additional details like perhaps Vader's lightsaber. It's been a while since I built any of the Marvel mechs, but perhaps this is the same and I've just completely forgotten it. But I like how it's broken up into its different bags, because you could even split up the instruction manual into the 3 parts, each for a different person to do. And even though it's a small set, it just allows for 3 people to build the one mech. Can't forget Vader's cape. Oh, Vader's cape has a felty feel to it. And would you look at that arm printing in what, a £13 set I think these are? This is also the new face for Vader that only came in the TIE Bomber set and the Throne Room Duel diorama, and it's really nice to be getting this with the arm printing in such a cheap set. The only issue I have with the set so far is that LEGO are very much perfectionists when it comes to their lightsabers and not having a single bubble in them. It's usually how you can tell the difference from a LEGO blade and a custom one that someone else has made. However, this bigger blade, as it's a bigger bit of plastic, this is not at the fault of LEGO. It just makes it harder for this to be made without the bubbles, and I don't know if you can see them. There's just a few bubbles up there. I mean, there's one here, here, and a little one at the end. So it's not a problem, but just would have been nice if they could have found some new technique to just get rid of all of them bubbles. And also, whilst we're on about capes, I found one of the little capes from a Boba Fett, an Empire Strikes Back Boba Fett, and as I do already have one, it allows me to add a cape to this new minifigure, as LEGO are trying to steer away from material pieces. I'm not quite sure why, but capes seem to be the only material pieces we are getting from LEGO, and a lot of the time that isn't a problem, like the new printed on Karmas for the 501st sets. However, something like this just completes the look of Boba, and unlike the ponchos that are now printed on for Luke and Leia in the Endor diorama, this is something I feel Boba couldn't do without. Now you can pick these up on Bricklink, I'll leave some details on the screen here, but I feel it just really completes the minifigure. But back to Vader's mech. Alright, I think I found out why they didn't include it. It does look a bit odd and it does squish up against Boba, so perhaps if we see this Boba again, he will indeed have a little side cape. And once again, if I make sure I get it the correct way round, you can see there's another 2x2 printed tile, and much like the Boba Fett one rather than the Stormtrooper, this does actually mimic the printing on Vader's torso. And if I can get it in focus, you can see that the 2x2 tile replicates that front panel on Vader's torso and is identical, even in the coloured buttons they use, which I know does switch out at certain points through the original trilogy. Perhaps next time you watch it you can have a look at Vader's buttons and see how many times they change that you didn't notice last time. But this makes for a really cool addition to the mech, and especially if you wanted to customize your own Vader bust, this will be really useful in giving you that central panel. Now here's where I do also think it would have been really cool if we got a big cape, or at least a little bit of one, like on the Thor mech, where they gave us little panels that stuck out over the back. However, it seems that they've decided not to, and in fact it doesn't even ruin the mech. It still looks really cool, and hopefully we can see that soon. Oh, I think this bit here is meant to be sort of like the cape, and as there isn't any hooks on his belt for his lightsaber, which would have been really cool if they included that here to hold the extra hilt. It seems that these clips on the back are what are meant to hold the blade, and you could perhaps put the hilt and blade separately so they don't come down as much, and when you're looking at the front it will conceal anything you've clipped back there. And that brings us to bag 2. Just when I thought the designers couldn't get any more creative, we've had round bricks, we've had half round bricks in the middle. They're now utilising that central stud and putting a 2x2 dish in there, and I wonder what's going to go on top. That's a really neat way of building the first leg, and it does look more machine than man, which of course Vader is. And I like how the legs are a little bit thinner than Boba and the Stormtrooper, which makes Vader's mech look more susceptible to damage in an attack, which is much like Vader's actual suit, which was susceptible to lightning and had so many other ways that the Emperor would torture him whilst he was wearing it. Now this is definitely a different way to how I built the other mechs, as I'm pretty sure with both of the others they started off with this right leg, then the right foot, and then the left leg and the left foot, whereas now we've built both the legs and I'm assuming we're on to the left foot. As you can see in the top left of the image, just down here there are 2 feet, so we're going to be building this twice. And just like I said, that ×2 right at the end, if I hadn't got ahead and seen that we needed 2 of these, that would be a real pain, having to go back and go through all those steps again, whereas now I've built the 2, having only followed the instructions through once. They really need something to show us how many we're building, or perhaps, like that little box in the top left, it's been there all along and I just never paid enough attention to see it before. I guess that also explains why we built the legs first and then the feet, compared to the others where both feet were symmetrical but different to each other, and does make it quicker if you've spotted the ×2. Time for bag 3. And as you can see, this does complete the mech, and even though LEGO do have the saber fully built on the back, I would recommend perhaps taking off the blade element and storing it just like so that when he is turned around and facing whoever is displaying or playing with him, you cannot see either the hilt or the blade, and even if you turn it on the side you can only just see the bottom of the blade just at the back here, and makes Vader look just that much more awesome, like he needs to look anymore. Now as you can see, the lightsaber fits very well in his hand, and it does look like he's holding it, so these pieces do work really well with all the mechs. However, if you don't want him to hold the saber, you can just pull it off as easy as that. It goes on and off and back on, and it is a really easy way to give all of these mechs something to hold, and allows you the choice to display them with or without their accessories. Now once again, like the other two mechs, the legs are locked in this sort of semi-arched position, which unlike the previous mechs such as this Wolverine one, means that you are limited to a few more poses and can't stretch out the legs as much as you might want to. However, I don't think this hinders the build process at all, and even when displaying, the mechs are so versatile that they look cool in every position. Even if perhaps you wanted to sit the mech over the edge of a shelf, if there was not enough room to stand Vader on, the legs are bent just enough to make it look natural, and also means that you can still have your sets easily displayed and seen over the top. Now of course, chances are you won't be displaying any of these mechs sat on the edge of the shelf, and instead would have some sort of fight pose like so, with Vader wielding his lightsaber ready to take on any enemy, and all the pieces up the arm, down the leg, and even these on the back make him look just that much more like Vader, with his leathery suit and every little detail. I did forget to say whilst filming this part that this Vader does have a new head to the old one that you perhaps got in your collection, and if you haven't been able to collect the TIE Bomber or the throne room diorama, you can see that this new Vader has a much more serious face than the last one, with almost a smirk on the older one, and has similar printing on the back of the head, but just makes Vader look all that more like a Sith. So if you haven't picked up the TIE Bomber or the Final Duel diorama, I might recommend this set for you, unless you're happy to wait and hope he comes in another set soon. But whilst this mech is here, you might as well pick it up, especially as it is so cheap for only 13 quid. I am a big fan of all these Star Wars mechs and even collect the odd Marvel one. However, LEGO have blown it out of the park with these mechs. If you want to see my other two reviews, I'll leave them on screen now, as well as my 330-second battle pack, and hopefully I get to review more in the future, especially Rebel mechs. May the Force be with you always.